Hello everyone, this is Vinay and we are back with the next edition of Srijan Wednesday webinar. Srijan Wednesday webinar is a community initiative in which we host people from different domains. So there will be talks around methodologies, technologies and even marketing. Our today's speaker is Sasank Meruthia. Sasank is business analyst at Srijan Technologies. He has over 7 years of experience over multiple open source technologies. Sasank started as a developer and is now helping clients with understanding Drupal. The last 15 minutes of this webinar is dedicated for question and answer. If you have to ask any question, you have to raise your hand. The raise hand button is on the toolbox of this webinar. So now I am transferring this webinar to Sasank.
Hello everyone, this is Srijan. Sorry for that, there was an echo here. Hello everyone, I am Shashank. I am going to today present a business case on Node.js. Not really sure what has been communicated, but let me give you a little brief. The presentation today would be a business case. It was about understanding Node.js. So for all the people who are into project management, who are who are very new developers and want to know what are different technologies that are in place right now, what can be done with different technologies, how the different technologies integrate. This is a place to be. But if you are looking for a specific code-based approach where I would get into a code and show you how Node.js works, probably this might not be the right webinar to attend. So I'm going to very briefly going to talk about what Node.js is, how it integrates with Drupal, Drupal being the core platform that Srijan Technology works on. We will also talk about different use cases, how Node.js can be very helpful, and other practices that can be utilized. So let me get on to the presentation directly. So very firstly, of course, everyone would like to know what Node.js is all about. Node.js is a web server that is designed for writing scalable web applications. Now people might ask what exactly this is. So you might have known how PHP works. PHP usually works on an Apache system. On the other hand, Node.js creates its own web server. What this does is that you don't have to get into a system where you're asking Apache for all the queries that you might want to do, which makes it really fast. Node.js being on the Google's V8 JavaScript engine, it makes it really fast. And really, it is actually for the people who really want to build highly scalable applications and really want to write code that handles tens of thousands of multiple connections on one and only physical machine. So there's a question that is always asked. I've been giving these presentations earlier also, and the primary question that was asked to me was why I am using Node.js when our primary skills lies in Drupal. Our company works in Drupal. We build web applications in Drupal. Then why the need to have actually used Node.js? So let me give you a background on what my thinking was. So I was leading one of the projects. This is a portal that we are developing for one of our clients. It's an education portal for assessing kids on various skills. The idea was to give them a lot of practice material. Kids from classes 1 to 8, they were given a lot of practice material. This practice material is being given in a game kind of a format where they have to cross levels to get increasingly harder level of questions, and then when they have completed a round of questions, they become masters of those of the topic that they are into, and subsequently they master all the subjects that they are subscribed to. The idea that was given by the client was that we wanted to have some kind of an online gaming experience for kids. Now, creating a gaming platform in itself is a huge work. We didn't want to get into that situation, but we certainly wanted to keep the site as user friendly as possible, as kids friendly as possible. We wanted to introduce some kind of a gaming element so that kids are very interested in knowing knowing the questions, answering them, getting a kick out of answering them correctly, and of course getting reprimanded when they are answering them incorrectly. However, when we were actually developing the website, there were huge amount, just like any other web content in it, and of course there was lots of sections that kids could go through. This had resulted into a lot of PHP code. I mean, already the site was looking so heavy that we thought that perhaps even one more line of PHP code and the whole site would go down. Of course, it didn't actually get down. We were looking for the performance measures, but then who knows? So we thought that perhaps we were actually looking at lots of things, what could have been done, and we thought that perhaps let's try Node.js. What were the different things that we wanted to achieve? So first of all, when we actually went into that system, when we started doing this, we thought, let's see what it can do, and we thought perhaps the very basic thing that we could do was create notifications, real-time notifications to users. Users, when I say users, they are largely kids who will be on the system and practicing. You can see a screenshot on your screen right now that I have created from the website that is currently that is going to go live in fact next week. This you can see is a dashboard, and right on the top right corner you can see a notification that has come up. So the idea was, when the user is actually on the dashboard or any other page, and whenever there is a notification, an invitation sent to a person to play a game to a kid, he will receive that notification instantly. Think Facebook. Whenever someone sends a request to you, you receive that friend request immediately, right there, and wherever you are on Facebook, you will receive that notification very quickly. So we wanted to achieve similar kind of things. Then we went ahead. We thought the idea seems very good, and after we have implemented, it looks like it's going to be a great thing. Let's implement. Let's go one step ahead and implement something more. We had a small gaming session wherein kids can invite other people. Once the invitation was made, they can play games together. By playing games, I meant they were thrown questions at them. These questions were all the questions were same to each other, all the participants, and they could answer them in real time. Once they were answering, we thought, why not show scores to each other and see how they are performing. So for example, in the screen that you can see right now, if there are two players, and they can simultaneously see how people are going to perform. So Majid Singh, while logged in and answering, will also know how Ansh Dixit is performing, and in fact he is right now ahead of him. Then there was another possibility. When we are actually introducing a gaming element, there is always a case that there could be a lag. People might be late in joining the game. What would happen? And in fact, if people are on board and the organizer is not really there, what would players do? What would players get to see? They should perhaps get to see a synchronized kind of a timer, where they should be able to understand that yes, the person is going to join or the organizer is going to join. Something similar to what you have, you might have just now done in WebEx or in GoToMeeting. When you are just joining in and you see that the organizer is not ready, you get to see that notification right at that point of time. So in the screen right now that you can see, it says waiting for others to join, and then there is a timer that goes on. The timer says 5 seconds now, and the time could have been increased. But the idea was that whenever the people are joining, they can get to see a synchronized timer and see when is the game that when the game will start. Then of course, what would happen if a person is actually doing some other kind of an assessment on the system and then he receives a notification, or perhaps the notification needs to be made that when a session can start. So we thought of that, why not do this with Node.js itself? So we gave another kind of notification whenever the playoff or the game that was going to start. The pop-up notification would appear. The right corner, again, the right corner you can see it says playoff started, which effectively means that the game has started and everyone and people are now free to join in. These were the things that we wanted to implement in the first days. Of course, there are lots of things other planned, but when we were actually starting with Node.js, we thought, why not look for some other alternatives? We thought, what were the alternatives? Ruby on Rails was really a good alternative. However, we realized that it was itself a very heavy framework, and to achieve such things, I think it would have been a overkill. You have to have a server ready for Ruby on Rails. We also have to ensure that there has to be a binding between Ruby on Rails and Drupal, and then things would work very well. Of course, Ruby on Rails itself works very well, but when we are looking for an integration with an already huge site, we thought Ruby on Rails might turn out to be an overkill. There was, of course, a possibility of using Ajax. Ajax for the uninitiated, it is a kind of an asynchronized call request that is made in PHP or other languages, wherein you can get some part of information refreshed on the page rather than refreshing the whole page. But then if you are using Ajax, we all know, I mean, people who are really into PHP and Ajax would know that it is no different from PHP in making requests. And of course, Ajax being a having a polling method, it would have really been a nightmare polling every time to see if the request had come in. Facebook ditched Ajax quite a while ago for the very same reason. It was becoming a problem for them also. So why didn't I use these alternatives? As I mentioned, Ruby on Rails, it was a large framework and time consuming to read and understand. With Node.js, I could really go ahead and start delivering in a week. We understood the implications. We understood how it is going to be integrated with Drupal, and we were ready to start delivering in a week. We took some time in testing, but really understanding Node.js was really not a big problem. Ajax, of course, wasn't just going to scale up for many kids playing on the server. We were expecting per game at least 5 kids playing, and with about 8 classes and on an average about 50 or 60 kids playing at a time, Ajax would certainly would not have scaled up. Of course, the other problem being that the Apache is multi-threaded. It spawns a thread and it does not get completed until the request is completed. More on this a little later when I discuss how Node.js works, but largely it became a problem that too many connections would mean that the whole system would be down. So, of course, not the best of ways that we could use. That brings me to, how does Node.js work? So people would really want to know what is the difference between Node.js and the other alternatives that we were using and why we chose Node.js. So first of all, let me give you an idea. Node.js is event-based and asynchronous and non-blocking. What does all this jargon mean? Let me tell you in a moment. Of course, it doesn't poll, but pretends to poll by creating a loop. What do we understand by this? So what happens is, is that an event such as an incoming HTTP connection, for example, if I'm triggering a request or an invitation to another kid, it will actually fire off a JavaScript function that does a little bit of work and kicks off other asynchronous tasks, which means that the JavaScript function will then ask the server to perform a certain task. In our case, it was to look for that particular candidate in MySQL, fetch a result, and then send across the invitation to that person. Let's get into a little bit more detail. So think of the non-blocking server as a loop. In a very typical manner, or in a PHP manner, what happens largely is that whenever there is a request that is being made, PHP takes a request, or the server takes a request. It goes through different layers. It goes to Apache. It goes to MySQL. It goes to the backend of the system. Looks for a result. Looks for what you really want. Brings it back to you, and then reproduces it on the browser that you have. This takes a huge amount of time, and by the time this is being done, everything is blocked. Which means that if another person wants to have a similar kind of query, he will have to wait till this query is completed. It takes a huge amount of time. In fact, yesterday, on a completely unrelated project, we were looking into a system. The whole MySQL queries were getting clogged because of this very fact. The query in PHP was written so badly that the whole MySQL was hogging, in spite of the fact that the server had about 24 GB of RAM installed and about 1200 GB of hard disk installed. Which means that if the queries are inefficiently written, or even if they are efficiently written and the amount of data that needs to be fetched is too much, then PHP on an Ajax-like system are typically bound to fail, even if you have got a good server. So how does Node.js tackles it differently? As I said, Node.js actually acts as a non-blocking kind of a system. It does not keep spawning different connections. It keeps same connection, but it does not pull. But it gets into a loop. Let me try and give you an example that perhaps would be understood very well by everyone. You go to Starbucks. There you ask for a coffee to the waiter. You of course tell him that what are the ingredients that you may want in the coffee. You may want ice cream in your cold coffee, and then you may of course want cookies with it. What would the waiter typically do? He will fetch your order. He will of course document the order, go to the kitchen and announce that there is a customer who has got a request. These are the things that he is looking for. He'll wait for the coffee to be made. He'll of course wait for the person who is going to deliver the ice cream, who will then pour it into your coffee. He'll then move on and then ask for the person who is going to deliver cookie so that it can be delivered onto the plate. He will take the cup which has got coffee with the ice cream. He will take the plate that has got cookie into it, come back to you, and then give it to you. Now, all this time, what are you doing? You are simply standing there. It is all the resources are getting hogged. The waiter is gone. No one else can make a request. You are standing there because you cannot do anything else. This is how typically servers would work. How would Node.js work in this case? Node.js being a better waiter, he'll probably do it in a different manner. How? Let's see. Waiter will actually fetch your request, but he will not go ahead and deliver it to different people. He will just announce it from there itself and tell the person that to the chef perhaps, or the person who's making the coffee, that please bring me cold coffee for this customer. In the meantime, while he has announced this, he's actually going to go ahead and take order from someone else. While he is taking order from someone else, he will provide you with perhaps an order number and ask you to sit on the seat. You will of course take your seat, wait for some time. If you have Wi-Fi at Starbucks, you will perhaps start working. The waiter, on the other hand, will take another order, and he will then announce that second order to again the coffee maker. Till the time coffee maker is going to get another order, he would have made the coffee for you and then produced it to the waiter. Waiter, on the other hand, will take this coffee and announce it to the ice cream maker that he needs to put in 2 scoops of ice cream into the coffee. On the other hand, this waiter is again looking for another order. So you see what he is doing. He is saving on time. He is not going to fetch all the things, ingredients, and come back to you. On the other hand, he is simply going to look for another query or another request that is being made by another customer. He is handling typically more than one customers in one loop. Similarly, there can be other waiters who can be doing the same thing. So there are multiple connections, and there is a huge amount of looping that is going on. Becomes and all the waiters being independent, all the queries become asynchronous. Now, what is happening further on? He's of course gotten the cookie from another person in the plate. Once he has gotten the coffee and cookie for you, he'll announce it by the number that he had given, the token number that he had given to you, and you will of course get back from your seat to the counter. You'll get your cookies, you'll get your coffee, you'll come back to your seat. In the meantime, perhaps the waiter has already answered a lot of queries, or already waited for a lot many people. Customers are happy, and of course it's being very efficient. This is how Node.js is going to work. He's not going to wait for you till every request has been completed. He'll look for another request and pass it on to the respective people, be it the MySQL, be it the Apache, or be it any other third-party server that might be existing. So I gave you a good idea about how we implemented Node.js. However, there are lots of other use cases. Social networking. This is the case. Facebook itself uses Node.js very heavily. Google Plus uses Node.js. Node.js being on the Google platform. Google of course uses Node.js very heavily in their applications, primarily Google Plus. Gaming, something similar to our product and this can be scaled quite heavily. There can be even chat servers. In fact, one of my friends yesterday was showing me a very cool application that he had created in Node.js. He of course used Express and other products, other technologies, but Node.js acts as a primary server where he had hosted his chat application, and was pretty cool. The notifications, I mean, they are prevalent in every cases. Sites that demand interactions from clients almost always requires notification, be it Basecamp, be it Facebook, or be it any other such applications. Notifications are something that are really required. Web-based feed readers. Most of the people would know Google Reader just retired. I mean, Google didn't want Google Reader to continue. There were lots of alternatives that cropped up, and what was common to all those readers, specifically the web-based readers, they were primarily built on Node.js or some other variant. But the idea was similar. As and when content is posted somewhere on the site that you have subscribed to, it will instantaneously be applicable to you. It will be shown to you, and you can read it almost real time. You don't have to go to the site. You can read it in your RSS feeder. Feedly is one of the feed readers that is quickly emerging as a replacement for Google Reader. However, they are not using Node.js, but I had read somewhere that they are perhaps going to go that route also. That's all from my side, guys. As I said, I have not really gone into the whole technicalities of how it is going to integrate with Drupal. But if you do have any questions regarding how it can integrate, I have some idea. Perhaps we can discuss them during your question answer session. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Over to Vinay now.
It was a great talk, Srijan. Anyone? Do you have any question? You can shoot it to Srijan. Thanks, Srijan, for this wonderful talk. Guys, if you have any